Hi, I'm Simon Pare, and I'm going to read from The Hypnotist, or Never So Happy as in the Realm of Ideas, by Jakob Hein, published by Hypnotise and Witch earlier this year. This extract comes from the first section of the book, told by an old woman called Lieselotte Sawicki, who lives in a small village on the border between East Germany and Poland, a place so rural and remote that even the East Germans refer to it as the Valley of the Clueless. Lieselotte was an exact grandmother to Micki, a clever lad who, rather than graduating to the local petrochemical combine, gets it into his head to study psychology, but is then kicked off the course for demonstrating a lack of class consciousness. Now he's back in the village, living in his dead grandmother's house, where there are some strange goings on. Then, in the spring of '83, the business with the visitors started. Outsiders wandering through the village with rucksacks and suitcases, asking for Micki or Siegfried's farm. I can clearly remember a woman suddenly standing in the middle of the village, like someone out of Sibylla magazine. Short black hair, long coat, heels, lipstick, and one of those little artificial leather suitcases in her hand. It was a shock. Her kind belonged in films, in photos, or in Berlin. But what was she doing on the high street in our village? When she asked for Micki, it set off a lot of conflicting rumours. There were arguments at the shop about whether she was a girlfriend from his student days or a prostitute he'd called, even though those didn't really exist here. What was clear to everyone in the village was that she and Micki had sex. With a striking looking woman like her, people couldn't really imagine anything else. Now and then she went for a walk along the River Oder and smoked cigarettes, but she spent most of her time on the farm. Hopefully she didn't notice how the village registered her every move. People tried to wheedle it out of Micki at the shop or elsewhere, but he was a silent type and had little interest in feeding the gossip and tittle-tattle. Everyone was convinced she was going to move in with him, but then after about a week she left, with the entire village silently mourning her departure. A few weeks later, the next person turned up, a young man. And that's how it all started. It wasn't a mass influx. Oh no, not at first anyway. But now and then a man, or more usually a woman, would turn up and knock on Micki's door. Most of them went home again after a week. They never let anything slip. We didn't know them, of course, and we only really met them in the shop when they bought cigarettes or wine. They were townies, and they bought posh things, like duet or Goldkrone. They said they were friends of Micki's with these unnatural smiles. They were the kind of people who went for walks, just like that, in the middle of the week. They wouldn't put on their jackets and walk along the Oder. They went out for walks between noon and 1, when normal people are having lunch. No one in our village goes for walks. Many a person here would see that as a huge provocation, but if you go for a walk, what you're saying is you've taken care of everything on your farm and you can now go for a walk with a clear conscience. Anyway, I always thought Micki must be getting money from his visitors, which made me wonder why his visitors would pay him. It can't have been the food that drew people to Micki's. That much was clear. And it wasn't a nice accommodation either, as the house had long been in need of more than a lick of paint. Which is why I'd always guessed those people were up to something psychological, because I'd given a little thought to what Micki could and couldn't do, and the psychological stuff was the single skill that came to mind. I asked Micki straight out when he came round to borrow the drill. He wanted to put up a shelf in his grandma's old room for his visitors. "All right, visitors," I said innocently. Yes, he had visitors from time to time now. I must have noticed, Micki said. "Oh, now you come to mention it, I had," I said. "There was always someone or other dropping in. I thought they were old school friends or from his university or something." "No," he said, "these people came to him for hypnosis." "Hypnosis? You only used to find that kind of thing at the fair," I said. "Why are they coming to you?" "You see," Micki said, "that's what everyone thinks, but in fact hypnosis is a completely normal form of psychotherapeutic treatment." He'd met an old professor at the university who still knew how to do hypnosis and had taught him, which is why he, Micki, could now do hypnosis, and it was great. "Well, you must be the first and only person in Soldin to do hypnosis," I said. "But what are these people after? Why do they come to you for hypnosis?" "Because not many people can do it," Micki said, and he offered it for all purposes and personal circumstances. "But the people who go walking around here all look very healthy," I said. "Not at all like nutters or whatever you're meant to call them." "That may be true," he said, "but everyone had some secret wishes, and hypnosis allowed him to fulfill them." The conceit, wittily executed by Jakob Hein from a variety of perspectives, is that if East Germans can't go to Paris and London or see the Cure play live, then Micki will enable them to travel in their minds. Gradually, to the bemusement of the villagers, A kind of utopian community emerges that is superficially compliant with state bureaucracy, but actually deeply subversive, as a Stasi official admits after the secret police bring down the commune. Then the Berlin Wall falls, and the former hypno-tourists are free to travel, albeit with a slight nostalgia for their previous voyages of the mind. Funny, warm, and gently satirical in the vein of Goodbye Lenin, the hypnotist picks apart the absurdities of the communist system and shows young people trying to circumvent its taboos. Oh, and aside from being a writer, Jakob Hein is also a psychiatrist.